So first of all, I'll discuss in a brief what I'm going to discuss in this session. I'll talk about why we need to understand this topic. Then, what is the education market overview? What are the recent trends and strategy? And currently, what are the opportunities in this domain? And then I'll discuss the new development in the education sector. And in a very brief, I'll talk about the online education in India and PhD opportunities in this topic. Okay. So let me quickly begin with what the economic of education stands for. So basically, it comprises of these three things. First one is planning, financing, and the cost of education. Why planning, financing, cost of education? So like whenever we talk about education, so there must be we will be getting funding, or we'll be getting grants, or we'll be getting some sort of scholarship. Okay, so that comes under the purview of this parameter. Talking about cost of education, so there are plenty of costs that are associated with education, like the direct cost, indirect cost, private and social and opportunity cost. Okay. In this segment, the pricing is also involved. In pricing segment, we deal with basically private grants, public grants, fees, endowments, and government's role. Okay. Now, next thing is establish a link between the educational system and the economic development. This parameter is very important because it talks about basically human resource development, educational employment, demand and supply of teacher, policy implication, resource constraint, and mobilization. Okay. There's one thing I would like to talk about. Like yesterday, I read a report of that is related to UNESCO report. It talks about India has a deficit of 1 billion teachers. Okay, so you can understand why this parameter is very important. Now, next thing is educational problem in the context of economic concept like productivity and wastage in education. Now, you can ask me that what does we mean by wastage in education? There's whatever you have learned, it's not going to be. So here we are not talking about waste, that kind of wastage. We are talking about the dropouts, time, material wastage, human capital wastage, and sometimes ideological wastage. Okay. Now, next is education equity and income distribution. See, economics is not just limited to theoretical aspect; it also talks about the indexes. So, for that, we use some sort of statistic like for measuring the equity and income distribution, we use Gini coefficient and Lawrence curve. If you have ever studied the statistics, so you must be knowing about these two concepts, or you can ask me later in the session. Okay. Now talking about the education market. Okay. So you can see that in this diagram, I've clearly mentioned that education market is not just limited to your pre-primary, primary, secondary, or higher education. It is way beyond that. Okay. So first of all, the market is divided into two components. One is formal and another is informal. Okay. In formal segment, basically we deal with primary, secondary, and higher education. In informal segment, like tutoring, private coaching, test preparation, reskilling, corporate trainings, hobbies, and language-related classes are there. So, if I talk about the what kind of educational infrastructure is available to us for these two segments of education market, so we have a school, college, and university, and for rest of the informal segments, we have training institute. Okay, and what type of content they are delivering. So the content can be blended and instructor led. It could be computer or web training, or it could be video, audio recording, simulation based training, or nowadays self study material is also available. Okay. Now coming to what are the recent trends and strategies. So here I have divided the trends in three parts. One for the K12 segment, another for the higher education segment, and next for the vocational training segment. So coming to the first one. So for talking about K12 segment, so nowadays what is happening? Private schools are adopting franchisee models. Why they are opting for franchisee model? Because for a school owner, it's not easy to expand their business on their own. So they are charging a franchisee fee, and they are looking for the business expansion. Okay, in that way they can have their presence in the pan India level. Next thing is emergence of international school segment. Right now, I'm living in tier 3 city. And you can imagine that in tier 3 city, international schools are also. So you can see that. Nowadays, if schools are not capable enough to provide the international people, so they collaborate. So their student can get some sort of your international standard education. Increasing use of technology, like one data here, you can see that by 2014, around 47% of learning management tools are expected to be enabled by AI capabilities. As we all know that in COVID times, all the education have been gone online. Okay, and in coming years, this is the KPMG reports data, which suggests that the tools will be AI enabled. So you can see that like learning concepts will is going to become very easy. And the next point is very important here. Why use of technology is important nowadays? Like it suggests that in January 21, the troops of Indo-Tibetan Border Police Force have launched an internet-based service for the children who are going into Naxal-affected areas in Chhattisgarh. So this is the advantage. If we have a technology, we can reach out to those areas which are not accessible through human perspective. Okay. Now there are some key challenges also. Like it suggests that at primary and secondary level, the enrollment of girls student is consistently dropping. Okay, so these are the things. Now, talking about the trends in higher segment, so uh, there are certain compliances when it comes to providing higher education. So nowadays, Ministry of Education and UGC working together to reduce those burdens. Like I still remember in the beginning of this year, IMA refused to admit the quota that is being provided by government for the different categories for their PhD program, because they want that at the higher level education should be given to those who deserve it, not according to the government quota. So these kind of compliances is being removed. I mean, government is working out to removing or implementing new kind of rules in these areas. Now, next is specialized degree gaining popularity. What is it? It is basically nowadays, if you can see that there are a lot of online degrees has come up. Like IMA itself is providing e-PGP program. Even IIT Madras has started the BSc degree in AI and data science, which is completely online. So a wide range of student can join those programs and get a degree just by sitting at their place. Okay, so that is the thing. Now shift towards the on the online learning. We all know this thing, so I'm not going to talk about this. Next is increasing student enrollment at the higher institute level. Enrollment has gone up. You can see that by 2017-19 there were 724 students per institution, but it is expected that by 2030 this number will gone up to 1400. Okay, so I think this is a good thing when it comes to higher education. Now, next is talking about vocational training segment. So, recently in June 2020, when this COVID period started, the government has signed and the moment of memorandum of understanding with Rotary India Humanity Foundation, which provides basically NCRT TV channels for e-learning for a student of class 1 to 2. So that is the thing. And there is one more initiative by government, that is Shakkar Pragya. Okay, in this basically they were providing training to the rural areas for their welfare. Okay, and there were several corporate partnerships also. Like one is mentioned in this, that is basically Upgrad, our private company that is providing corporate reskilling certificate courses. So they have launched a scheme called Education at the Red Work. Okay, there they were offering, they have joined hand with different companies, and they are offering their employees to different kind of courses which are in the need presently. Okay. Now, next thing is investment in online learning has gone up, and I'll discuss at the end when I will talk about the online education market. So I'll discuss this later. Now, coming to the strategies, what are the strategies that is being opted by the government of India and the uh, private companies to boost the education sector? So first thing is that nowadays things have gone online, so they are providing online and supplemental solution. I've already mentioned this thing that this TV has added 32 educational channel, which is being on MHRD's platform also, and that is on your TV also. Okay, you can watch it. They have a proper schedule. Okay, student can watch their course material. Everything is there. Okay. Now coming to offering scholarship, so government is already offering lots of scholarship, and there one important thing that I would like to point out that in December 2020, IIT alumni has started an India Endowment Fund that is a value of 50,000 crores. Okay, over the next 10 period for strengthening the research system. Okay, so I think that is a good thing. And there's one more thing that like Samsung India has announced students for who are joining to IITs or NITs. So for that, they started a Star Scholar program. Okay, so I think in that way they are trying to strengthening the, uh, education sector. Now coming to the joint venture, so there are a lot of companies that have joined. EdTech giant in India is Baiju has 9 acquisition this year, which includes Topper, Akash Institute, Epic, White Hat History, Thinker, Grade Cosmo, Tutor Vista. Okay, so in that way, in fact they have joined hand with Niti Aayog under their social impact initiatives to provide the like their educational content to 112 districts free of cost. Okay, so that is a good thing. And in the end, I have mentioned that Digital Led and Binary Semantic have joined announced the formation of Digital Led India, a joint venture to bring best-in-class digital learning in India 2021. So these are at the school level, but at the higher level also, there are some joint programs have been offered by IITs and IIMs and some other institutions also. Like one is mentioned here, BITS School of Management and London-based school have jointly offering management programs to improve the education. Okay. Now coming to growth drivers and opportunities. So definitely, education market is booming nowadays, and we are hoping that in coming years it will boom a lot. Reason being, the disposable income of the persons have gone up, and their willingness to invest in education is driving the education market. Earlier, there were people interested in their agriculture stuff, but nowadays the village people are also switching to education because they realize that there has to be a consistency of income. So for that, they are doing this. And talking about vocational segment, so like in tier two, tier three, people focus more on their vocational training because they don't have uh, funds to fund their higher education. Okay, so there are plenty of ITIs being set up by the government. I'll later share the data. How many ITIs being set up by the government in the next financial year? Okay, so these are the growth driver of the India's formal and informal education sector. Now, coming to the opportunities, so definitely when it comes to investment in education, so 100% FDI through automatic route is being allowed. Okay, so that's why if you can see that Baidu is consistently acquiring different startups. So that is the reason. Okay, if this 100% FDI is not allowed, so they might find it difficult to acquire these startups. Okay, and next thing is government of India. You can see that 10 crore funding being set up to establish a 15,000 model ITIs ticket to fund the vocational education. Next thing is in April 2021, India's academic partner and startup in the field of education is ready to invest around 20 crore in the school acquisition model. What is this? Is it is basically they are trying to plan to take the 200 school on lease model. In that way, what they'll do, they'll following a proper curriculum, and in that way they'll reach out to the pan India level. So that is the now coming to the next opportunity, that is related to policy level. See, government of India is trying their best to boost the education sector. We have already heard about this Shiksha Abhiyan, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, these kind of things, but there are plenty of other schemes are also there, like Government Skill India Mission to provide the skill around 400 million youth by 2022. And there's one more scheme called PME Vidya scheme. Uh, that is, and there are other also like Manodapan, new National Curriculum Pedagogical Framework, National Foundational Literacy and Numeracy Mission. So that is there. Recently, we all know about this NEP 2020, which is being approved by the cabinet. Now, next is immerse growth potential. So yes, India's education sector is very strong. So and we have a huge population, around 500 million people in the age bracket of 500 to 24 years. So that makes a good opportunity for the education sector. So government has in 2021-2022 government announced the budget for the 15,000 schools, which comprises of 100 new Sanic schools, 750 Eklavya model residential school in tribal areas, and there are many. Okay. Now coming to next, nowadays establishing any infrastructure is not easy. So government is offering private companies to go with the public-private partnership and establish different setups. Like in ISC, different research centers is being funded by Tata Group. Okay, so Tata, they also have their own research centers, but they are also funding educational institute to set up the labs. Okay, for research purpose. So that is in that way they are there's an opportunity of public-private partnership. Okay. Now next is opportunities for the foreign investors. Definitely, if we talk about the Bajus, so their majority of funding is coming from the foreign countries. Okay, I'll share a link there. You can look for that from where they are getting funding. Okay. So next is opportunities for the innovative services. So in this, in the last point, there is Rise India aims at training 1 lakh drivers over a period of 3 years and imparting training to 2.5 lakh drivers in the next 7 years. So basically, this field is not restricting themselves to the only your K12 or higher education segment. They are also looking for the opportunities because nowadays, traffic congestion and is there, so everybody is not able to afford the car. So there's a need of cab service. Okay, like Ola and Uber, these facilities are there. So these kind of missions are there to train the drivers so that uh, we can move free. Okay. Now, next is partnership with the international agencies. So yes, I would like to mention these 3 4 points. These are very important. Like Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship is trying to empower the district at Panchayat level. So they are providing several agriculture related programs. Okay. Now, this mission is very important. Mahatma Gandhi National Fellowship Mission. This is being different IIMs are taking their place, and this is, I think, 2 years program in which whatever fellow joins this program, they'll get around 50,000 per month as a stipend, and they'll have to work at the district level for the state level skill development programs. Now, next is Ministry of Education is implementing the scheme of vocationalization of school education under the umbrella of this Son of the Shiksha and integrated scheme for the school education. And the last point is very important. NSDC, National Skill Development Corporation, with the ministry has signed MOU with the 8 countries which are mentioned here for the vocational training and education. This is very important because see, they are very. If I talk about the number of jobs, those who are at office level and those like non-office work. Okay, so most of the vocational trainings comes jobs comes under these trainings. So this is very important. And last year, I remember that NSDC is offering a certificate, English language certificate free of cost. Okay, with the which joint hands with the NITI Aayog and British Council. Okay, so and that certificate itself has a cost of around 1400, 1500. Okay, so this in that way they are trying to strengthen the youth uh, for their career prospects. Okay. Now, not this is not restricted to only just the higher education, like a specific domain. They are also switching to the other domains, like in medical. There are several fields, so they are providing the facilities so that the medical student can go up, and the Indian Medical Central Council look further in this domain. Now, ministry have also uh, already announced to set up Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalayas. Okay, so that grassroots education becomes good, and and the student can impart their skills later on. Okay, now since in the COVID period everything has gone online, so telecom connectivity needs to be boosted. For that, the government has set up around 9,000 crore fund to boost the high-speed internet in the tier two, tier three cities. Okay, the tier one already have that setup, so tier two and tier three needs these kind of services. Now, the next thing is the Nistha program. This is for the this program is again for customized module online delivery, and this is also a good program for the online education. And this is not just restricted to the student. This also provide the training for the teachers also. Okay. Now next is your Ayurveda institution. So that is again for medical thing. Now next is alternative academic calendar. So this thing was related to K12 segment. Here, what NCRT is doing, they have created a 4 hours and I think it's at 8 hours schedule. Their student can watch their mm, chapters on the TV. Okay, so they have a proper schedule. Here it is mentioned that alternative academic calendar for 4 weeks and 8 weeks. It's not for hours; it's for weeks. Sorry. Okay, so there they can watch their school content, books content on the television. Okay, and they can also listen it on their radio. Okay, and several other social media platforms. Now, next is foundational mathematics course. So NSDC has joined hand with the Khan Academy to offer free courses on mathematics foundation and numeral literacy for the Indian youth. Now, next is India and Australia cooperation. So, with the help of Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, they are offering various vocational educational and training between India and Australia. Okay, this mission is very important. STAR mission. The STAR mission stands for strengthening teacher learning and results for the states. Okay, which is being funded by World Bank. The mission is to improve the literacy at a school level. Okay, and this project covers 6 states, which includes Himachal Pradesh, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Kerala, and Odisha. Now, we all know about this NEP 2020 platform, so I'm not going to discuss it. Now, next is guidelines for continued education of migrant children. So basically, this was again for basically based on your what to say vocational training. Okay, and here I think I will already discuss this thing. Mostly they were related to vocationalization of the school education and other vocational training courses. Okay. Now, next is National Digital Education Architecture. Why this is important? You know about the Digi locker. Okay. So such kind of services will be comes under the purview of this architecture. Like whatever content, whatever certificate or anything you have access. You can access through this architecture. It is still in the process, but I don't know how much time it is going to take to completely build. The last point is E9 initiative. This E9 initiative, India has joined hands with the rest 8 countries to form a group of E9, which is a three-phase process to co-create an initiative on digital learning and skills targeting marginalized children and youth, especially girls. Okay. And the agenda of this group or the initiative is to boost the SDG goal force, which is to rapid change in the education system. Okay. Now, talking about the new development in education and training industry. So, first is recently you must all have heard this thing about that Amazon has introduced Amazon Academy for the JEE. Okay, so they are trying to provide the JEE prep at a very low cost. Next is Atal Online Faculty Development Program. What is Atal stand for? It stands for AICT Training and Learning Program. Okay, this is basically for faculty development program. Okay, so the government is trying through this program, they are trying to enhance the education level of the faculty those who are working at the educational institute. Now coming to the next, that is a strategic partnership. So as per partner with the Teach India, and I teach schools to assist e-learning for the rural kids. In this, you can see that IIT Madras is trying to help them. Okay, uh, and they are also trying to help them at the um, on their content on the regional level also, and that is mostly on voice based. I still remember that one of CIC's fellow is working on this voice based radio. I don't know what is the name. His name is Ajay. That is working on this thing. They have a small pocket radio and they have a voice-based module of complete NCRT syllabus. So what they are doing, they are just going to the village schools and they are putting that radio because in village schools there are hardly any teachers. I won't say that there is no teacher, but there are hardly any teachers and student. There's only just one teacher who is teaching all the subjects. So just to improvise that education, so they are providing that voice-based solution at the rural level. Now, new campuses and buildings. So I've already mentioned in the beginning that through PPP mode, new campus and buildings or the research labs can be set up. But recently, our union minister has set up a building for entrepreneurship development at the JNU. Okay. Now, next is Skill India initiative. So, skill under the Skill India initiative, the target is to provide the industry and automotive uh, level supply to be ensured, so that like several youths, if they get hands-on training, so the placement or their working will be easy. So that is now IT-based trainings are also there. NASCOM Future Skills and Deccan Company, along with the Deccan University Australia, is cooperating to provide their courses for India's scheme and reskilling and upskilling in all three sectors. Okay, so that the youth or the organization or the individual can get potential jobs. Okay. Now, there are several edtech ventures that are being launched during this year. Okay, so, some of them are mentioned here. Now, next is technology-based incubators are also being nowadays because see, people know about education, but when it comes to technology, many of the people lack in that area. So there are several business incubators, those who are helping to establish their educational level. Like I know that there's one startup called Proctor. What they are doing, they are providing the teaching assessment platform to the various educational institutes at a very low cost, at the cost of like annual cost of that platform will be, let's say 2,000, and that is way less. If you will look for the other companies, they'll provide you the same platform at the cost of 20,000 per month or 15,000 per month. So that is it. Now, if I talk about the online education in India, so when it comes to online education in India, so there are several parameters we need to look into. Like our population is very young, and cost of online education is very less. Availability of quality education and disposable income has gone up. Smartphone user base is consistently increasing, and internet penetration has gone up. So basically, our online education market is comprises of these five segments. One is primary and secondary education. Second is test prep. Third is reskilling and online certification. Next is higher education. Next is online and casual work. So you can see that the market projection, this here on the left side, this is the data of 2016, and which is uh, growing at a compounded annual growth rate of 60%, which is going up from 73 US million dollar to 773 million. Okay, so you can see that in almost every area, okay, the online education segment is going up. Okay. Now, next is what could be the future of online education. So, mm, I think Whitehead is working on this thing, like gamification concepts to be introduced in the education domain, because to just to make the content engaging. Okay. And next is player in this space adopt a hybrid channel approach. What is hybrid channel approach? Basically, like nowadays, Baiju is working alone or Vedanta is working alone. Maybe in coming years or future, they'll work together just to broaden the online component, and they learn improvise the overall learning experience. Okay. So next thing is online education will evolve the concept of continuous learning. This is right now it is also there, but maybe in future it will grow. Okay, like along with your job you can mm, mm, go with your online education, because right now the online like online degrees do not have acceptance in every organization, but over a period of time it will become the new normal. Okay. And social learning, entrepreneurship courses will be there. Business model evolution in the line of changing customer requirement. See, right now most of the online courses are focusing towards the providing the material or the certificate. That's it. Very few courses are providing your peer-to-peer learning, or one class in a week which is to be offline, or like uh, like in offline courses, what we do, we have a group task. But when it comes to online, very few courses are providing. So maybe later on, this will become the new normal, that you will work the other users to on a particular project, and you will get the internship also. Okay, not just online, you will get the offline internship along with your online course. So this is going to be the future of online education. Coming to the next, that is the technological innovation in the supply and demand of ecosystem. As I already mentioned that the report of Business Today that suggests that India has a deficit of 1 million teachers. Okay, so as we know that companies like Baiju and Whitehead are looking for the future school concept. Okay, so in that way they might be able to fill the gap. Okay, next thing is nowadays big data and artificial intelligence in news, but that is not applicable at very large. Okay, so maybe later on, because with the growing data, we need we are not able to do everything manually. So we need artificial intelligence just to help what kind of courses and what kind of skills we need in the future. Okay. Next is data storage capacity is also a technological challenge. Okay, so these are the challenges which are going to come when it comes to online education in India. Now, talking about the PhD opportunities, so these are the three programs which I have listed here. There are plenty of other programs which you can opt for, but these are three best according to me. First one is IMA's program that is in the area of innovation and management education, which you can join, and there Professor Tarun Jain, I've already talked to them in this domain. Okay, so if you want to get into PhD in this domain, so you can talk to them and discuss your proposal and all. Then you can fill this form and get admitted. I think Deepak is already doing PhD in this domain. Okay, so you can also talk to them. Now, next is the National Institute of Advanced Studies, which is being ISC's Bangalore's lab. Okay, there you have plenty of areas which is associated with this economics of education. Okay, I've already mentioned these areas, so you can also join. Next is your Center for Economic Studies and Planning, JNU. JNU is doing quite good in this area. Okay, so you can join their MPhil and PhD courses. So that's all from my side. If you have any question, please ask. Any questions? No question, then we can